Come and talk to me.
Hello, everyone out there. This is the Majestic Talk Show. I'm your host, Latasha Morgan, certified Christian life coach, certified professional life coach, board certified master Christian mental health coach, and a whole lot of other goodies, y'all. Welcome to the show, and thank you so much for being here. Today, we have a guest, Quinn Cummings. She is the owner of Aidyn's Books, LLC. Hello, Quinn. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Latasha?
I'm blessed. Thank you so much for being on the show today. Tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Great. So, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here and speaking with you today. So, like you said, my name is Quinn Cummings. I'm the owner of Aidyn's Books and also host of the Parenting and Bonding with Children's Books show, which all started out of a love for children's books and wanting to reach more parents about the importance of reading aloud to their children, bonding with their children, and really giving them the foundation that they need in life. So we have a community for parents where we talk to parents on the daily about the importance of reading to their children and other resources as well.
Okay, good. Well, again, welcome to the show, and I'm glad you're here. Today, our show is about parenting, bonding with your children through books. So, I want to know, why Aidyn's Book LLC? Why did you come up with that company, and why did you name it Aidyn's Books?
Okay, I'm happy to tell you that. So I've always been an avid reader myself. And when I had my son, I guess we'll get right into it. When I had my son, I had no idea I was going to be a single mom. But when I started that journey, I knew that growing up, in a Christian household with parents who, worked very hard to steer me in the right direction. And, the things that we learn about marriage and relationship and those types of things. I wasn't naive to the fact that raising a young man as a single mother, there will be some things, even though God equips us, there will be some things that I would not be able to teach my son. Mm-hmm. And I wanted him to have the full picture. I wanted him to walk into the world and feel prepared and not feel like anything was holding him back. I really believe in the power of story. And I believe in the power of really connecting with our children. And so from the time my son, whose name is Aidyn, from the time he was in the womb, I've read to him and I've been reading to him. He's 9 now, since he was born. So Aidyn's Books came from just me talking to different parents, friends, and family, looking for books myself when he was born, and really finding that there was a gap in that area. And so I just wanted to talk to more parents about the importance. So many parents have given up on the power of story for their children, even though we embrace story ourselves in our everyday lives. So I just really wanted to reach more parents and make sure that we were equipping our children, no matter what our familial background or daily life looked like.
Okay, that's good. Why do you think it's important, or how can we bond with our children through books? How do we do that?
There are so many ways. And I think just from being in the community and talking to different parents, some of the things that kind of hold us back from reading to our kids is we may think the school is doing it. If we're not homeschool parents, you're like, why do I have to read books to my kids? They read books in school. It's going to feel like homework. Some parents can't keep their children engaged during story time, and so they give up. And then there's, a large population of parents who are afraid to read with their kids because they might not be very literate themselves. And so it's a work, for all of us to reach all of these different types of parents. But bonding with our children through story is as simple as just carving time out with our kids, right? And if you look up how much time should I read with my kids per day, there are different numbers out there. And I tell parents, even if you only have 5 minutes a day to sit down with your child and just start to read a book with them and just allow the conversation to flow, Because that's another thing, and Latasha, stop me if I'm if I'm going too far. But that's another thing that I think gets parents is we think we have to rush through a book. We think we have to get through a whole book or a whole chapter. But when I talk to parents about the magic of story, it's more than the book. It's also it's the conversation that comes from that book that leads us to a stronger bond or strengthening the bond with our children. So if you ever sit with your kids and you're reading a book, for anybody listening out there, and what gets a lot of parents, because we work hard, and sometimes when we get to story time, we want to rush through. But if we just pause when our kids have questions while we're reading the story and let them get those questions out without thinking about the fact that we just want to get through the story or we want to finish the book, just allow them to ask those questions, and you will be surprised the things that they may say in those moments. And it can really help to open up the world between you and your child.
It can also open up a way of communication.
Yes.
Because I saw by looking at your website that you believe that communication is necessary for a successful relationship with your children, with the child.
Yes.
And that's important. With the questions, a lot of things may come up during those conversations with your children. Maybe you'll learn things about them that you didn't know, or learn more about the people that are around them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
maybe then we wouldn't miss so much stuff that's going on with our children if we actually sat down to have that story time with them. Because I know when we were growing up, and even with my nieces and nephews, my mom would always do that. She would always read, or either we'll make up our own stories. Maybe we'll start a story, then the next person will do it, and then we start doing that with my nieces and nephews. And of course, even when they were bigger, it didn't matter what size they were, we would still do it. They used to like it right before they go to sleep. They would go to sleep. So I get that. I understand that it is great and it is important. It does build a bond because you really feel like your parent cares and wants to spend quality time with you. So that's good. That's good. I love that. So I know you have some methods that parents can use to teach to keep their children engaged in reading. What are those methods?
I do, and I want to talk about that method with you, but you said something that just that just made me want to comment on it. We talk about story time and reading to our kids as a way for our kids to communicate with us. But it also, reading children's books with our kids allows us to find a way to communicate with them. Mm-hmm. Because oftentimes we go to work, or, we're around adults all day if our kids are away at school, and we find that we struggle to remember when we were kids. Mm-hmm. We struggle to remember what that is like for them. And when we're reading books with them, we dive into their world, right? If it's a well-done book, we dive into their world. We remember what it's like. And we're able to converse with them about, like you said, who their friends are at school, what their teachers are like. And when we talk to them and we use our words as adults, right? Sometimes they may not understand. But when we read a book around a particular topic or a particular theme, then all of a sudden they're like, oh, okay, I resonate with that. Well, kids aren't saying that, but, I understand. And so now I can talk to you about this. And now I feel like this is a safe space, because maybe even you're, as the parent or the caregiver, sharing stories with them as well from when you were a kid. And that's important. Yeah. So if we talk about the ways to engage with our children, I do have something that we created here at Aidyn's Books called the Engage Method. And the Engage Method is 6 very short and, I say, easy to do tips or things to guide parents through the read aloud experience. Because you would be surprised how many parents say, what do? I just pick up a book and I start reading? And I say, yes. That's all you do. But if you're looking for more tips, right, we have what's called the Engage Method. And I'll go through it quickly because each letter has something. And so we start from the beginning of the book to the end. And the whole purpose of the Engage Method is to create an experience, whereas we're bringing the child into the book with us. So it's like an immersive experience with the book, which we're all about the magic of story time. So maybe I'll go through the first three, and Latasha, you let me know if you want me to keep
You can
going.
go
But
through all six. Go ahead. I want them to know.
great. So E, entice them with the title or the first line. So don't ignore the cover. When you pick up a book, maybe your child helped you pick it out, maybe you picked it out for them for whatever's happening in their day or in their week. Engage them with the cover. Really look at it. Take in the characters that are on the cover. Take in the different elements that the illustrator has added to the cover. Try to find something in the cover that you think would spark your child's attention, and really start it out on a good foot, right? Because if we can entice them with the cover, they'll be excited to turn the next page and see what else is there. N is for notice something with them. So as you're going through a book, look for commonalities between the character and your child. Maybe things in the background, like a radio, some books, stuffed animals that may be in a book that they have in their own space. And these are just little ways to bring them into the book with you, so they can say, "Oh yeah, like I have that," and then all of a sudden they're engaged. All of a sudden they want to know what's next. G is to gauge interest with simple questions. And I actually, for your listeners, I'll give you the link when we're done here. But I have a list of questions that you can ask while you're reading a story with your kids to help to encourage that conversation and discussion with them. A is for apply a personal touch or story. So as you're reading the book with them and you're finding that maybe something that's going on in the book has happened to you, maybe in your childhood or in current day, share that story with them. Our kids, Latasha, your nieces and nephews, don't they love to hear stories from you?
Well, yes, they used to when they were, yeah. They're a little
Yeah,
older
they
now.
love.
Yeah, they
They're
did.
older now, but I mean, they love to hear stories, especially when they can hear stories about us when we were kids. Like, kids love that. So I wouldn't skip over that in reading a book with them if you can find a connection. G is for gather feedback. Ask them simple questions, again, about the story. Do they like how the story is going so far? What would they change? And then my favorite one at the end is the ending swap. And I usually tell people this one first, right? Because this one, it gets me the best reactions. I do a community read aloud in my area for the kids, and I use the ending swap tip quite often. And so I know that many of you have read a book and you're like, this book stinks. Like, I don't like this book. Like, what is going on? The ending's not good. We watch movies sometimes. We're like, that wasn't good. Well, what would you do different? If you were the character in this story, or if you wrote this book, what would the ending look like for you? And it really, really encourages creativity. It encourages them to think more deeply about the story. And then you get into your kid's brain, and find out what it is that they're thinking about the story. And so those are, I think, 6 simple tips, things that maybe you might not do all of them in one night. You may only do one. But it'll really help to get story time going and to keep the kids engaged.
Okay, that's good. So we have to entice them. Number 2 is next, right?
Notice something with them.
Notice. Okay. You have to notice something. Yeah, because normally when you look at the book, you do skip over the front cover. And
yeah, you do.
yeah. I mean, because
the cover makes you pick it, but when you actually sit down for story time, you often don't pay much attention to it.
Okay. How much of a difference has that made in your son's lives and the other people that you've used this method on?
I remember one mom came back to me, and this is out of our Facebook community, and she had been reading to her kids, from the womb, like I have with Aidyn. And she used this method, and she was one of those parents that, would think, I need to just get through story time. I need to read a certain number of books for a certain number of minutes, and I'm doing my job. And that's wonderful. It really is. But you'll find a difference when you actually get into the story with them. And she said, I had no idea they had so many questions. I think because over time, you know, we teach our children how something is supposed to go. So if we're reading with them and from the beginning we're saying, hold your questions until the end, or, you know, let me just get through the story, we kind of put a blocker up, right? But if we ask these questions, open-ended questions, and we're digging into it with them, you know, it's like, I think I said earlier, the world really opens up. And so she was just so shocked and surprised. Like, they had so many questions, and I had no idea they were understanding the story at this level.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
And if I can share as well, one of the best conversations I had with my son at an early age, he was probably 6, and we read a chapter book. And if you're listening and you're like, when do I start chapter books with my kids? Whenever you're ready. Just don't wait for a certain age. You don't have to read a whole chapter in one night. You can read one page and take it in, take it slow. But I read a chapter book with him on bullying. And he was not being bullied, but there was a friend of his in class that was being bullied. This conversation would have never come up if I had not chosen to read this book with him about bullying. And from that conversation, you know, then I was able to write an email to the teacher and bring this up. But, you know, just again, you would be surprised the things that will come up. And when they're in school, sometimes we ask questions, you know, did you have any homework? What did you eat for lunch? How was your day? But reading story to them and having these different experiences and things come up in the book will jog their memories and let them know that it's a safe place for them to talk about these particular things.
Yeah. And then even as they grow older, though, they'll be more willing to talk to you about anything because you've opened up that door for them.
Yes,
That's
I
good.
totally agree.
Thank you so much, Quinn, for that. I mean, I've done it before, but never really thought about it. It's just a thing, you know, that I would do. But I read in one of your blogs, open letter to Black single moms that you wrote on April 10, 2021, when it's on your website. And I just want to read a little bit of what you said. And this is just a portion. More than that, well-chosen books can help to reinforce themes that we want to teach our children: raising leaders, building confidence, raising independent thinkers, raising compassionate and empathetic kids. I know it's hard to choose books when our children are seldom represented in the pages. I hear you. But there are books out there. I can help you find them. This is what I know for sure. School is not enough. Reading to our children gives them words. And let's read to our children. Let's give them words. Let's prepare them for life and send them out into the world every day their best selves. Why did you feel the need to write that to Black single moms in particular?
That year that, well, it's hard to say now, not an answer to your question, but so much happens in our community and to our community, right? But I think that in that time frame, there was another injustice. And as parents, we want our children, we're really, as black parents, we're preparing our children for the world and for when we're not there with them, to be able to articulate themselves and to be able to address the world in such a way to try to help keep them safe. Now, it sounds crazy as I'm saying it out loud, because we know that a lot of times our young Black boys, our young Black girls are victimized no matter what they say or what they do, right? But it's all about, I believe, that preparation. And we want our children to walk out into the world prepared. And as a single mom, that's just what is always on my mind. Who is my kid when they're not in front of me? If the school calls me and says, my child did this, can I say, my child would never, they would never do that. And I think that in writing that letter to single moms, which actually that blog post that you selected, allowed me to have a bigger platform with Christian single mothers. So it's a blessing, and it's amazing that you selected that one. Just in making sure that single moms knew that we have the power. You know, we're not without power because we're not married. We're not without power because, you know, things didn't work out, and we can still prepare our children for the world as we originally intended.
Yes, that's good. I really got out of that, but the school is not enough part stuck out the most to me, because oftentimes people send their children to school like it's their responsibility to teach them and train them in everything. Well, my child acting like that because of you. It's your fault. You're not doing this or you're not doing that, and that's why that stuck out to me. And when you said that school is not enough, because really it is our well, parents, I don't have children, so it is the job of the parents to teach their children how to behave, what they're expected to do, and what the world expects of them, and how they should be themselves and not everybody's. Because we complain about them being like everybody else, but spending time with them, showing them who they are, showing them what their purpose is, letting them see that through books. I learned who I was by my parents spending time with me and teaching me how to have my relationship with God came from that. Teaching me how to have a relationship with that. Ministry came from me seeing and hearing my daddy say how I should minister and what that looks like. I knew that I was able to do anything because that's what they taught me. That's what they told me. It didn't come from school. Before I went to school, I already knew that because that's what my parents said. And I believed it because they said it. So I became who I am because that. Even though they're gone, I still hear that in my head now. I still listen to that. So it is important that you bond with your children, because my parents did bond with us. They read, even though it was always the Bible and teaching us how to pray and stuff, but that stuff did help us in the long run. So yeah, it does. The communication and bonding with your children are important. It's essential in life. It does show them who cares about them, that I can always come home to a place that I know is safe and secure for me, and somebody there loves me. I don't have to be like this person or that person, because I know that who I am is who God called me to be, who God has made me to be, and I know that there's nothing that I can't do. So that's why I love that part. I love that part.
Yeah.
Anything else? We have 5 minutes left. Is there anything else you would like to share?
Yes, actually, on your last point, because that was what you pulled out of that blog post. I've spoken to a number of teachers, administrators, and other folks just in education, elementary, middle school, and up, who talk about what our children are being taught in schools. And I know more and more of this is coming up in the Black community, as far as what our children are learning, the curriculum that they share with us or that they use to give our children a foundation in school. And if we entrust the schools to give our children a foundation that they need, they won't have a foundation. Because when we send our children to school, like you said, they should already be learning who they are at home. Because if they try to learn who they are in school, I really feel like, it will mess them up for life. Are there good teachers out there? Are there good schools? Yes, there are, but it starts with us, as parents. So I think that one of the reasons why Aidyn's books, is still here today, because it was started a few years ago, is because I hear from parents who may say, the school is doing it. The schools are reading to our kids. There's no reason for me to do that. And they may be reading to our kids, but look into the materials that they are reading, to your children, and the curriculum that they're following in order to select books. So yeah, just to add that on. And if any parents are interested in the Engage method or our resource library book recommendations, I would encourage you. I created something for your listeners. if you go to aidynsbooks.com/majestic, you'll get access to our Engage method. I created a short video course for it as well. So that's Aidyn's Books, AIDYNS books.com/majestic. And if you sign up on that page, you'll be given a PDF of our Engage method as well as access to our resource library.
Oh, thank you, Quinn. I just like the fact that Majestic is on the end.
Yeah. I love it, Latasha.
So, to our listeners, go check that out. And not only that, Quinn, let them know where they can find out the information about your events. Are there any events that you're doing soon?
We are going to start the podcast back here in July, so look out for that. But if you hop on our email list, you'll get all that information. Once you sign up on our website, you'll also be taken to our Facebook group, which is a community of parents who are all after the same thing. There are children's book authors in there as well. We like to bring light to traditionally published authors, but especially our indie authors who are really working to put diverse, beautiful stories out into the world. So check us out on the website, and then check us out over in our Facebook group if you do Facebook, and you'll find everything you need there.
Okay. Good. Thank you so much, Quinn, for being here today. I really enjoyed talking to you. This is the first time I've spoken to you, but I really enjoyed talking to you. I really loved your Engage method. I love hearing what you had to say about bonding with children and how important communication is with our children. And because it really is. There's so many children out there today that are sad and depressed and don't have anybody to talk to. So this is a good way for parents to help their children. So it's not too late for you to start. So thank you again, Quinn, for being here. Thank you, everyone out there, for listening to the show today. This is the Majestic Talk Show. I'm your host, Latasha Morgan, certified Christian life coach, certified professional life coach, board certified master Christian mental health coach, and a whole lot of other goodies. You can go check out our podcast show on all the podcast platforms. You can go to our website and schedule your appointment for a life coaching session at www.majestictalks.com. You can get in touch with us on Facebook with Majestic Talks LLC, Instagram, and all other social media platforms. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Good night, everyone, and we'll talk to you again next time.
Talk to me, to me. Majestic talks. Come and talk to me. Talk to me, to me. Majestic talks. Come and talk to me. Majestic talks. Come and talk to me. Majestic talks. Come and talk to me, to me.